Hey, what's up, guys? And first of all, I want to start this with a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all. I hope you're having a wonderful day and that you're gonna have a wonderful year to come. But I know that can't be said for all, and if you're going through something that might seem hard, I hope blessing does come your way, guys. For you to have a wonderful time and many more. I just want to thank you all for sticking through with another year, guys, as we're almost near to the end of it, and it's been such a journey and a ride. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for all of your support. And I hope I continue to make videos that you guys enjoy. So yeah, I'm here back with a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was. One in a trillion, guys. Part 4. If you haven't seen it yet, new series over on Anime King. What If Naruto Was Shadow the Hedgehog? The link will be down in the description, so go ahead, check it out and enjoy. So without further ado or waste any more time, let's begin this now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap for the last part that we left off, Hiruzen Sarutobi raided Naruto's place. As Naruto was taken into custody, he did not put up a fight or anything. It was then that Hiruzen found out that the basement that led to the laboratory was not connected to anything. It was a completely different space, which confused him very much. However, he recalled Naruto being able to tamper with space-time, so that meant he was able to create a new, entire space that he was currently using. It was rather shocking. Shocking beyond his wildest imagination. Rushing the others to the hospital, Yamamoto was there. However, Yamamoto showed Hiruzen that what Naruto did was not bad. He isolated the genes of Sakura Haruno and mixed them with the Yuki genes, granting her the ability to manipulate ice, however on a completely different level. He also somehow changed Sasuke DNA with Kakashi, allowing Kakashi to take on the properties of a Uchiha, allowing him to reduce the strain by turning off the Sharingan, which should not be possible. They were confused though because they did not see any changes in Sasuke, believing that he did not try to help Sasuke one bit. But that was wrong though. Hiruzen went to visit Naruto and Naruto already surmised that Yamamoto had told him this. Also, the reason why the place was empty was because Naruto had paid everyone to leave and an extra to keep their mouth shut, and he bought the residence. After doing his research, Hiruzen realized that he was correct, as he did not harm anyone. In fact, he helped them. Team 7 finally woke up, and they woke up feeling better than they've ever felt in their entire life. Hiruzen brought Naruto out to apologize to them for taking them hostage. Kakashi warned him never to do something like this again, despite him doing it for some good reasons, to never do something like this without someone's permission, as Naruto promised that he would not. However, the others wanted to know the depths of what he did, Sasuke mostly. Naruto faked ignorance, saying that he did not do anything for Sasuke, but that was a lie. Naruto awakened the full potential of the Sharingan, which would allow it to grow without the traumatic stress of the eyes taking on, problems. Sasuke will soon understand what that meant. However, he too started to feel changes in just a short amount of time. Sakura was delighted. Her conversation with Naruto was her saying that she didn't believe she was strong enough. She didn't believe that she could provide a good assistant to the team. So Naruto made sure that she was strong enough. The Yuki bloodline was gaining traction, making her stronger and more powerful than she could ever imagine. So she had no problem with that. And in a short amount of time, Sasuke started to see changes. Naruto was correct when he said that Sasuke's eyes no longer were limited by emotional strain, as his eyes were gaining more and more powerful. And in turn, he was becoming stronger. Things were becoming much slower. His perception, his understanding was becoming faster. And he has yet to reach the full pinnacle of anything. Sakura wanted to learn how to properly control her techniques, as Naruto had gathered a lot on the Yuki bloodline. He even wrote a few. He gave her the scrolls as she started to practice. When the day came, Sakura created a massive volley of shards that raced towards Naruto, as Kakashi had realized that they didn't know exactly how powerful Naruto was. Him destroying it with ease showed that he was extremely powerful. Yes, he was. However, Hiruzen had called Naruto back to the office, as he wanted to know everything, as Naruto promised that he would not hide anything from him anymore. So Hiruzen asked him about one major detail, because given everything, they have yet to speak about that, and that was referring to the Nine Tails. If the Nine Tails was still intact, given that Naruto had this vast knowledge regarding Fuinjutsu. However, Naruto told him that he no longer had the beasts. Now that shocked the old man, as he asked Naruto what the hell did he meant by that. So yeah guys, basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across to the place, check it out for yourself. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over in the other channels. Yes, all the links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out and enjoy. So without further ado, let's jump right into this. Let's begin now guys. Hiruzen sealed off the room to ensure that there would be no one eavesdropping on their conversation, as his gaze was focused directly towards Naruto. Explain, he said, wanting to know what the hell Naruto has done. Haven't I already shown you that? I mean nothing but the betterment of the hidden leaf. Why do you still seem so suspicious of my motives? You do realize if I was the enemy, I would have let loose the Nine Tails on the village without telling you anything first. Giving you this information just secure that you know every one of my movements, and you not telling me things when you do them right away. That is what is getting on my nerves, Hiruzen said. So, explain, what have you done? Naruto held his hand out, as a small ball appeared in his hand. It seemed to have mirrors on all sides. However, Hiruzen was wrong, as it was not reflecting the outside, but it was reflecting the inside. What is that? Naruto stepped forward as he held on to it. Now it's time to see if you truly trust me or not, said Naruto. As he held on to the ball, a bright light started to consume the room. Hiruzen could feel it pulling him in, and he could move away, but he decided that he would trust Naruto's words and trust him. When Hiruzen blinked, he found himself standing on grass. As he looked around, Naruto was standing right next to him. Where are we? He said. We're within my creation, said Naruto. A loud, guttural sound could be heard. Hiruzen snapped his gaze as he saw a three-headed monstrosity racing towards them. Something from Children's Nightmare. It looked like a dog, but mutated and monstrous. Hiruzen prepped himself, readying for battle, but Naruto raised a hand. Don't worry, I have this handle, said Naruto. The next moment, the ground erupted as a serpent emerged. It wrapped around the dog's head and yanked it underground. Hiruzen was speechless, without speech at the moment. The next moment, the ground erupted a few feet away from Naruto as the same serpent emerged. Its eyes were at the side of its head, and they were so wide, allowing you to see all the way back. Naruto raised a hand and placed it on its giant head. Don't worry, said Naruto. She's one of the good ones. As she went back in the ground. What the hell are these things? Hiruzen said. Creations of mine, said Naruto. As you know, I am tampering with DNAs, genetic structures. All that you can see are creations I've made. Naruto held his hand out as Hiruzen saw a platform. One appeared in front of Naruto as well. He stepped on it as Hiruzen stepped on his. It brought them up into the sky. Hiruzen's eyes was wide, as the land stretched far beyond his eyes could see. What is this place, he said. A place I've created. Think about the basement that you saw me experimenting on the others, but much. There's a lot more, said Naruto. As he gazed outwards. And over there, said Naruto. Hiruzen heard a clashing sound as the platform flew them over there. Hiruzen was shocked to see the massive 9 tails. He was surrounded by 4 of those dogs. They opened their mouth and released colossal flames upon him. However, the 9 tails seemed to be smiling. It bullied its way through them and gripped their necks with its tails, yanking them close before crushing them together. It launched them into the air one by one. It opened its mouth and shot a colossal beam, causing a violent explosion in the sky. I would introduce you, but the 9 tails doesn't really like other humans, said Naruto. We're still working on that. The beast saw them, and Hiruzen could feel the contempt as the 9 tail turned and walked away. A few years back, after surpassing what this world known as the pinnacle of Fuinjutsu, I was able to completely break down the seal and open it without a key. In the process, I met my parents. Your parents? Yes. They sealed their chakra inside of me so that we could meet one day. They were shocked that I was the one that was doing this, without help, that I was doing it on my own. My mother was really worried, but they were able to access my thoughts, just to see what I have done and how far I've reached. And they understood. My father also told me something, said Naruto. The 9 tails did not break free on that night, not of his own free will. Someone kidnapped my mother right after she gave birth to me. A man with a mask. My father believed that it's Madara Uchiha. What? But that's impossible. He's long dead. I believe so as well. However, whoever it is, they're extremely powerful. And I doubt they will stop coming after the 9 tails that easily. And as you can see, I've cancelled out them ever getting the 9 tails. Because there is only one way to enter this place. And I won't allow him to enter it, said Naruto as he sat down on the platform, causing Hiruzen to do the same. Hiruzen released a heavy breath. Each time I think I have you figured out, you go and blow my expectation and mine. He said, looking around. I can't believe that you've created something like this. People that are far beyond your knowledge. Even the Uzumakis that were at the pinnacle of their creation were unable to do something like this, and you do it, as you are right now. Well, that had to be expected, said Naruto. We both know that I'm not exactly normal. Most people are born 1 in 1,000. And for the rare people like my father, the first Hokage, perhaps 1 in 1,000,000. And then you have some extraordinary people who are born 1 in 1,000,000,000. And then you have me. I think I'm about 1 in 1,000,000,000,000, said Naruto. The pinnacle of true understanding, not just of this world, but this entire universe. Hiruzen looked at Naruto with such a new perspective. Just looking at this place, what he's created, what he's done. It was just so hard to wrap his head around. They spent the remainder of the time talking. Hiruzen tried to truly understand the ins and outs of what Naruto has created. And the more he learned, the more his mind expanded beyond natural comprehension. Time skip. As the weeks flew by, Naruto was summoned, but this time it was not at the office. As the Anvus opened the door, Naruto was greeted by the face of the clan heads, the 3 elders, and the Hokage as well. The Anvu commander, wearing a wolf mask, was also in the room. All of them were looking towards him. However, he was not alone in terms of his age group. Sakura, looking rather nervous, was in there as well. Disregarding everyone that was in there, Naruto turned towards her. "What are you doing here?" he said. "The masked ninjas came to my home. They said I had to be here." "For what reason?" She shrugged her shoulders, not really sure. Hiruzen cleared his throat. "Now that you're here, Naruto, there's a lot to be discussed." As much as Hiruzen tried to put everything on the downplay, it had gotten around, especially after glimpses of Sakura feats. The things that she was able to do. The other members had not shown certain feats like this, so they weren't told to be here. The main one that was driving this to understand everything was the man with the bandages, Danzo Shimura. Naruto gazed towards the Hokage, who started to explain why the meeting was called and why they were here. As the people themselves were curious, in the past, there were several programs to try and make Konoha ninjas stronger. There was a program that resulted in 10 ninjas dying because they tried to transmute the Mokiton genetics. And they found out that this was done once again, but this time it was successful. Sakura was a prime example of that. Hiruzen was not the one pushing this, already come to terms with all of this, but he knew sooner or later they would want answers. He knew that word would get back to them. The other elders, they seemed to act like they were above Naruto in this stature, which they were, in terms of their political might. However, Naruto did not see it that way. Kaharu, the old woman that was there, was the one to address him on this manner. As she further went on to explain, despite Hiruzen already explaining what they wanted to know, the other members of the clan were curious as well. This was the first official bloodline to be originated back within Konoha. Other bloodlines started from the Hyugas and the Uchihas. They were originated here, but this was the original that did not originate here, and it was now being officially brought into Konoha. So yes, they wanted to understand. As many of this was, well, it had some political gain and some political disgain, given that Kiri was currently going through a problem, but that also meant several things, given Sakura having the last Yuki bloodline, as the members were all supposed to be dead, but the one that Naruto and his team went up against was the last member. So yes, a lot of information was there to unpack. "Yes," said Naruto, "I was the one that did this. I kidnapped the Yuki member that we fought at Land of Wave." He said his words so casually. "I experimented on that member." The moment Naruto said that, their gaze were focused on him even more, despite already knowing it. They start to think about the past, one person in particular. "I was able to isolate the genes that allow said member to perform their feats in terms of their ice release and the manipulation of such techniques. I then implanted it and mixed the genetical alteration within my comrade here to ensure that she will have a better fighting chance. And before you ask, there is no longer any sample to replicate. And her not being the original, no, I can't use her sample to replicate it," Naruto said. Figuring that was the next question that he was going to get. Hiruzen already had a 15-minute conversation with all of them before Sakura and Naruto got here, in terms of him already knowing and vetting Naruto to truly understand everything that the boy has done. and showing that all that he has done so far was beneficial to the village. And what about Sasuke Uchiha? Homura asks. We heard that you also run tests on him. Yes, I did, said Naruto. To make sure that his eyes were no longer limited by emotional strain. Explain, Koharu said. The Sharingan is a very powerful tool, said Naruto, but there are certain factors that limit the eye's potential that are needed to make sure the eyes are powerful and change in certain ways. I simply remove those problems. So now his potential is limitless, said Naruto. But I suppose you will just have to wait and see on that one. Sasuke experiments were stronger than Sakura's. Naruto was not going to say that because Sakura too had not really shown anything close to a limit. He too was using this as testing to see just how far they would reach. But Sasuke's was, well, it had the potential to becoming something beyond this world, as Naruto had followed the genetical code into something that wasn't from this planet. But he would have to wait and see. They asked about Kakashi as Naruto did not tamper with his sensei that much. He simply allowed him to fight at his full potential, which was already making him stronger. A member within the room, Shikaku Nara, spoke up. And why did you perform these procedures? Because I wanted to ensure that my team was well protected and safe out there. After witnessing the first mission that we went on, I realized just how truly dangerous it was. And I want to ensure that each and every one of them were fine. I was simply looking out for my comrades. I know most of you are thinking right now, he's going down a path similar to what Orochimaru has gone down. But don't loop me in with that psychopath. Besides, all my actions so far have been nothing but for the beneficial system of Konoha. And all information and all my work that I've been doing now are restricted and under deep watch by the Hokage himself. I'm sure if you want a more deeper understanding, he wouldn't be above giving you my books that I've created and all of that. The members started to discuss amongst themselves, given this new information coming to light. However, it was mostly Koharu and Homura bringing up laws from the past that would help benefit Konoha, the CRA. Naruto gaze narrowed when he heard that. Sakura was confused, wondering what they were talking about. However, the topic was sensitive right here. Sakura was not from a clan. No, she was not. She was given a gift though that would greatly benefit Konoha and make their village stronger in the coming future. As Naruto instantly remembered reading something like that, given his literal perfect memory. Sakura was confused as she asked Naruto, seeing that he seemed to understand what they were talking about. Hiruzen looked surprised that they would even suggest something like this. They did not bring up anything regarding this while they were talking. As Naruto started to speak, ignoring all the talking, which started to calm down when he started to explain it. The CRA was an act that was done in the past, due to the fighting and bloodshed and chaos. Majority of members being wiped out. They tried to do it on the Senju, but the rate of death was just too high, and the Senju fell. The CRA was a clan restoration act which would allow one member to populate with more than one member to ensure that the bloodline remains strong. After all, clan ninjas are more valuable than normal ninjas, so that had been set in play, and the law had not basically been rescinded because it has been a long time since anyone had ever spoken about it, and people have simply forgot about it. However, this was back in the olden days, when things were more wild, when things were more chaotic, when there was so much death and bloodshed, when children were being sent into chaos almost every single day. This was what the village once was, and that act was put into place to ensure that the clans never die out. However, things have changed. place was more modern and understanding now, and not in the habit of forcing anyone. However, said laws had not been disbanded. It was still active, so yes, they had the right to speak about it regarding Sakura. As having the Yuki clan within the village, and members of powerful users that could manipulate ice, would be truly beneficial to Konoha. Sakura was immediately horrified, not expecting that in the slightest. Even while Hiruzen had a lot of power, not even he could change certain things that every single member of the council and the more higher up Jonins believe, because they can simply go to the daimyo and try to prove their case, saying that the Hokage is abusing his power. Then again, Hiruzen could tell the daimyo to go and screw himself, but he would lose the political gain that come from the daimyo backing them, and all that money as well. So yes, there was a lot of problems that was suggested by those words alone. However, you could clearly see that most of the members in there, as the council members Tatsumi and the others, did not agree with their words. They could see the look on the young girl's face at even mentioning something like that. Not to mention the clan was never a part of Konoha. However, Naruto made things a lot worse. There's nothing to be worried about, he said, looking towards Sakura, who seemed worried. Not a single one of them can force you to do something that you don't want to do. Immediately, his words caught the attention of many. Danzo Sharmura, who had kept his mouth shut, simply trying to understand just how smart this boy was, turned his gaze. What did you just say? Homura said to Naruto. I said, not a single one of you can force her to do something that she doesn't want to do. Naruto said, raising his tone, matching the man's gaze perfectly. You are out of line, boy. This does not concern you. In fact, you may go. Koharu said, your part of this meeting is over. Well, sure, said Naruto as he grabbed Sakura's hand. Let's go. However, the guard stopped him. As Naruto looked at the two Anvus, she may not go yet. We are not finished with our discussion, Koharu said. Her mind was in the past, as she was young then, but it was the way that things were, believing that this was the right thing to do, to strengthen Konoha for the future. After all, it was always their goal and their ideal. Whatever made the village the strongest. Naruto paused as he looked at his hand that was free. The look on his face was one of confusion. He didn't understand. For the first time, something actually surprised him. He cared. Ever since, truly starting to gain knowledge beyond his wildest comprehension when he was 4 years old, he stopped caring about people and everything around him. Everything was a test subject to him. Everything was motives to understand the secrets of the universe. He stopped caring about everything. But now, he cared. He was angry. That was the only possible explanation. He found it rather amusing. This was the first time that he felt such anger. Strange. Is this how people normally feel when they're going into a battle? When he fought, he found it to be a time of learning and understanding, but now, strange. He thought to himself, finding this feeling rather interesting. Because all he wanted to do right now was to turn around and kill those two elders. But he knew the severe backlash that would form from that. However, it's not like any of them could stop him. As powerful as a Hokage was, while Naruto did not know if he could physically best him right now, he had things that could stop him. So yes, this was a new feeling for him. He turned around with a smile on his face. Actually, you cannot force her into anything, said Naruto. If I am remembering correctly, which I know I am because I don't tend to forget anything, the Clan Restoration Act was formed with the clans in the village in mind. something that was signed in the past by majority of the clans, something that led to a lot of backlash because the village believed that they could have sway over other people's reproductive organs, I believe. And if you take into consideration that this girl is not from the Yuki clan, she's not from any clan, so she has no voluntarily foot in this. That means you have nothing to involve her in. His sentence caught them off guard. They had literally nothing to argue against it. Harrison was about to say something, but he decided to watch and see as Naruto shut them up. He actually find it rather amusing and angry at them as well for bringing up something like that, something that had been kept in the past. Well, if you don't mind, they may go, Harrison said. As the envoys move aside, the elders, they kept their mouths shut. As the rest of the meeting was to simply discuss the future strength of the village with that boy. Yamamoto was there as well, having been silent the entire time, him being their expert in this area, as he brought up the thoughts of this boy having his own field, for him to make a group of shinobis that excel beyond normal areas. Naruto was still holding on to Sakura's hand, given the fact that he was always confessing his love to her, telling her how much he liked her, which at first was just to make her trust him. She started to feel strange. Her cheeks even turned a bit red. She stopped. "Thank you," she said, "for sticking up for me. I had no idea what that CRA thing was, but it did sound terrifying," she said. "So, thanks." "There's no need to thank me," said Naruto. "I realized something about myself today. I genuinely care about you all. I care that I haven't felt in a very long while. And I won't allow anyone to hurt you guys." Team 7 had become like a family to him, and he cared about them. Perhaps that was a big motivator in why he made sure they were all stronger than they've ever been. Sakura smiled here and that, because she too cared about them all as well, as Naruto has done nothing but be helpful from day one. Even Sasuke was coming around, being more talkative and open with the group. So yes, that was good. Time skip. After a couple of months, we find Naruto making his way. Team 7 had been getting along rather well, as their strength has been growing together, becoming more and more dangerous and phenomenal. Arriving down the alleyway, Naruto came across the young boy. Having seen this boy on several occasions, he was the grandson of Hiruzen Sarutobi. Naruto made his way and stopped in front of the group. The first to spot him was Temari. She thought, the guys in Konoha aren't that bad looking. As Naruto looked towards the group, "What's going on here?" he said. Konohamaru, two small friends, started to explain to him. As Naruto looked up towards the young boy that was holding him up, he stepped over towards him. "Get out of here before you get hurt," Kankuro said. Temari released a heavy breath. "He's your brother, right?" said Naruto, looking at her, ignoring Kankuro. Her gaze narrowed. "How did you? Judging from your reaction, you seem to be close to him, so you understand him more than most people. And you understand how stupid he's been by doing something like this in a village that he's just arrived to participate in their exam." Temari knew that Naruto hit it right on the nail right there and then, as Kankuro was not pleased though by them speaking like he wasn't here. You Konoha ninjas need to be taught some lesson, and this brat who just bumped into me would be the first one. A stone was thrown that hit Kankuro on his arm, forcing him to drop Konohamaru. Walking into other people's village and causing problems, you might get yourself hurt, Sasuke said, crushing another stone. "Given that you're here, I suppose Sakura is already with Sensei," said Naruto. "Or at least waiting for the both of us. Naruto said, disregarding what was going on. Kankuro was not pleased though. He was upset. Who did these little shits think they were? As he reached behind him, only to see nothing there. He was confused. Temari gazing over towards him. What's wrong? He looked around as Naruto was holding the puppet within his hand, having removed the straps already. Ah, so you're a puppeteer, said Naruto. I figure, given your style. I've never actually focused on that area. Well, I have, but not that much. But I find it to be unique. Controlling something, taking someone's life, and making it your own. Well, I suppose not exactly what you do. Kankuro was surprised. How did I take this from you? Well, it was rather easy. You weren't paying attention. Naruto said, tossing it back as Kankuro caught it. However, Sasuke snapped his gaze up, having sensed someone there. Looking down towards him was a red-haired boy. Who the hell is that, Sasuke wondered. Using sand to get down, Gaara looked towards Kankuro and Temari. Immediately Kankuro stopped his action off, trying to fight, looking more terrified than he's been before. However, Gaara's focus was on Naruto. He asked him for his name. Naruto told him as he told him back who he was. Gaara did not know why, but his mother thirsts for the blood of this one. There was something off about him. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, said Naruto. But we must run now. As he jumped onto the fence, him and Sasuke making their way off. Something was off about that red-haired one. Sasuke said, Ah, so your body is finally catching up with your eyes. What? Sasuke said. Your senses, I mean, said Naruto. You could feel it too. He's a lot more powerful than he lets on. A lot more powerful. Sasuke narrowed his gaze as they made their way. It turns out Kakashi signed them up for the exams, which Naruto already predicted, given their flawless record so far. They were a shoe-in to go through the exam with no complications or problems. Time skip. Team 7 was making their way after the failed assessment to trap them in the first floor. However, they were not the only one. Hey you! With it here! Naruto blinked, wondering which one of them doesn't possess here. They were interrupted by a youth in a green spandex. He jumped down, challenging Sasuke. Naruto find it rather amusing, as he started to speak about hard work and genius. That would have been great in the past, however. Naruto could clearly see by his build, and he could understand that this person might have secrets under his belt that he's been hiding for some time now. However, physical attributes alone, facing Sasuke, what he is right now would be, well, a waste of time. Perfect example. Sasuke sent Lee sailing after a vicious right hook to the face. As Naruto stood there, he was continuously watching Sasuke's growth. While not as fast or strong as him, Sasuke had grown tremendously in just a short amount of time. It has been 4 months, and in that time, Sasuke activated Sharingan, and 3 totem appeared in both of the eyes, as Lee had ramped up his speed. However, Lee could not touch Sasuke at the speed that he was going at. Naruto gaze focused down towards Lee's legs, as he noticed the movements. He had on weights, a lot of them to be quite exact. At this level, he would not stand a chance against Sasuke. Once again, Lee was sent sailing this time. He crashed hard in the wall, Sakura cheering for Sasuke to kick his ass, given that Lee seemed to have this little crush on her. And no, she did not like him. And the fact that he challenged Sasuke and believed that he could win. Lee picked himself up. He was surprised, not expecting this, given that their group was 1 year older. They've been a genin for a year now, as Lee found himself being actually bested Sasuke stood there and motioned for him to come. As Lee came forward, Sasuke could see his movements, down to the very motion of the movement of his pants. Sasuke weaved and dodged, evading all of Lee's strikes, before he placed 2 fingers on his temple. "It's over," he said. As that was a fake, his other fist planted in Lee's gut, causing Lee to stagger as Sasuke spun and deliver a brutal kick to the face, sending Lee crashing. But even then, Lee got back up to his feet, shocked how much strong Sasuke was. "Don't blame him," said Naruto as he stepped in the middle of the fight. "If this had been a few months back, I'm sure that you would have gotten a few hits in, perhaps even come out on top. However, because of my doing, Sasuke has gotten a lot stronger in a short amount of time. And I'm afraid, at the way you are right now, you cannot best him. Then again, if you were to tap into that power that you have stored inside of you, the inner 8 gates." Lee was surprised. Lee looked at Naruto confused. "How do you..." It was simple, given who your sensei was. "I've studied that art, a fighting style thoroughly, and I know a couple of the users, ranging down to your sensei. Well, given your features and how you dress, I can firmly say that your sensei is my guy. So I have no doubt in my mind that you also know how to tap into the gates. I'm afraid that is the only way that you'll be able to best Sasuke right now. And you better do it quick. In a short amount of time, Sasuke will be much stronger," said Naruto. However, the battle wasn't allowed to continue, as a turtle appeared out of nowhere. Sakura blinked, wondering if that was his sensei, given how he sincerely apologized for fighting, and this was not a place to fight. His true sensei arrived. When the man claimed that he was stronger than Kakashi, Sasuke wasn't buying it, neither was Sakura. "Physically, yes. He has a monstrous amount of power," said Naruto. Guy looking at Naruto, having snooped on their conversation earlier. This child was really smart, knowing things from simply gathering information that were small, and yet he tended to spread those information largely by understanding everything. So this was a smart one on Kakashi's team, huh? "Well, if you don't mind, we have to get going," said Naruto. "Is that guy really stronger than Kakashi?" "Well, physically right now, I would say they're about even. However, there is a great chance that Kakashi could best him 4 out of 10 while he best him 6 out of 10. That is if he used his Sharingan before things go in Guy's favor." Naruto was not talking about the normal Sharingan. He was talking about the other form. "Now what are you guys talking about?" Kakashi said. "I heard my name." "Just talking about you and your rival," said Naruto. "So you came across Guy?" "Yes," said Naruto. Kakashi was just here to wish them luck, which he did. As the group headed inside, upon stepping inside, they were bombarded by killer intent from all angles. A lot of the people in here were older than them, having taken the exams more than once. As Naruto presumed that they were all simply jealous that they failed so much time already, jealous that a bunch of new rookies seemed to be believing that they were going to best the exam, which they were going to do. So with that, the team simply ignored them. However, it didn't take long for the rest of the rookies to arrive. Ino immediately jumped on Sasuke's back, which fired up Sakura fighting spirit, which caused him to argue. "What's up with that fashion statement, Billboard Brow?" Sakura reached up as she felt her hair, given the genetical difference. The patch of her hair right there was white now, and Ino did not believe that it looked so good. Fashion statement that gone wrong," she said, which caused Sakura to call her a piggy, which caused an all-out curse between the both of them. As the rest of the teams arrive, "Hey, Naruto," Kiba said, being one of the first one to actually know Naruto when he first joined the academy. as he started to tell Naruto that him and his team had no idea how much dangerous foes they went up against. Going on a gathering mission and coming across a few powerful bandits and a former ninja who was leading said bandits. Kiba was trying to brag when Naruto started to talk about their mission. A man known as Suyin from the Land of Waterfall, Zabuza Mamakai and his apprentice, and several others that they've come across so far. You know, I'm starting to believe that you and your team have a bad magnet or something. I mean, why are your missions continuously turning into a A rank? I suppose you're right, said Naruto, as he greeted the others, Shino and the others that were there. His fascination about insects came from Shino. He greeted Hinata as well. However, she was shy, extremely so as usual, his smile making her fluster and clam up, as he looked at her rather amused. Shikamaru was simply bummed out that all of them were there, knowing that it was going to be a hassle. I don't think you guys should be talking so loudly. Naruto gaze narrowed at the newcomer, which led to a whole set of problems, as Kabuto was attacked by the Sound Ninja after disrespecting them, which led to a battle. However, that battle was put to an end when the proctor came in and told all of them to sit down and shut up, as they were all given their seats. He started to explain the tests and what they had to do, soon realizing that they had to cheat. Sasuke had his Sharingan. Sakura was more than capable of cheating by using her ice mirrors, but Sakura was extremely smart, so she did not need them, and Naruto simply wrote the answers, having fully comprehension of everything that any testing Konoha would ever send his way. After all, his IQ was far above them. By the time the test came to an end, as he tried to use their nerves against them, Ibiki tried to break them down by using their nerves that they would never take the exam again, which Naruto found rather stupid. How could he enforce the law for other ninjas to remain genins forever? I mean, they weren't even from this village, majority of them. How could he enforce that law? How stupid could these children be? Naruto find it rather amusing, said nothing about it though. So with that, Uncle Midarashi came bursting in, telling them about the second test, and she then proceeded to kidnap Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura blinked confused. Uncle was a big fan of Naruto ever since he got rid of the mark, as he was the only person that raised their hopes and did not disappoint them when he told her that he could, and he actually got rid of it. Ever since then, she's been a great fan of Naruto, a great big fan. So yes, as she carried him along with her, talking to him, she was fond of the kid for what he did, as he freed her from a lifetime of imprisonment. Not to mention, he brought back the memories that Orochimaru had sealed away, as Orochimaru made her believe that he found her, well, a useless subject. But the thing was, Anko had defied him and refused to betray her village. He found her too worthy to kill her, so he sealed her memories away. All this time, she had cried on that day when she remembered everything after Naruto had isolated the cursed mark and kept it for himself. She cried tears of joy, tears that she hadn't cried in a very long while. So yes, she has been grateful ever since, and a friend of Naruto's. Time skip. As they venture into the unknown with a Earth Scroll, seeking a Heaven Scroll, Sakura's confidence about her strength had risen drastically. So when Sasuke brought up them going after a team, she did not hesitate, as they allow themselves to be praised and the so-called predators attack them. The team split, as a boy, seeming to be the leader of the group, landed in front of them first, his teammates appearing behind Naruto and his squad. They were older, so they looked down upon them like they were children. Alright, if you brats don't want to get hurt, I suggest you hand over your scroll. The first one to actually move was Sakura. wanting to display her newfound strength. As she appeared in front of one of the boys, she threw a fist which he dodged, only for it to be a fake as the other one planted into his side. He threw himself back as he gripped his side in pain. She fled through hand sign before she opened her mouth and released a fog that spread fast and washed over him. By the time he was visible, he had frost bites all over him. Trembling, Sakura moved in and delivered a brutal fist that sent him into a tree, literally halfway through. As she done her match within seconds, his teammates were shocked. Taking their eyes off Sasuke was one thing. Sasuke went behind the other one and kicked his feet away before slamming him into the ground, knocking him out cold. The leader started to back away. I guess it's my turn, expecting me to do something fast as well. Watch this, said Naruto. Naruto snapped his finger as the guy fainted, confusing his own teammates. What the hell was that? Sasuke asked. Vibrations. Sound, said Naruto. I get that there was a sound after you snapped, but what the hell did it do to him? As I said, vibrations. Sound. It affected his hearing, said Naruto. Sasuke didn't quite understand what the hell Naruto was talking about, but it didn't seem like Naruto was going to explain. As Naruto turned towards the leader and made his way, it seems like we're in luck, he said, throwing up the scroll in his hand. However, at that moment, a snake erupted from the ground and swallowed Naruto as someone stood in the trees. Unfortunately though, the snake did not move. The person was confused why the snake was still standing there. As Naruto could be seen on the top of the snake's head, it looked like it swallowed him, but Naruto had outspeed the beast. The snake's eyes went dull before it turned its gaze back towards its sender and attacked it. However, the person did not hesitate to send it back where it came from. Before they landed down, wearing a hat, wearing the forehead protector of the grass, killer intent started to ooze from the individual. Sakura and Sasuke were immediately affected by it. This was much greater than Zabuza's. As strong as they become, this guy was a monster amongst monsters. However, the Kunoichi watched as a silhouette form around Naruto and blanket the other two. This was not actually there, but it was the aura that came from Naruto that canceled out the killer intent. Who the hell is that? Sasuke said, getting back to his feet. Whoever it is, there is no way they're a genin, Sakura said, the chilling sensation even colder than her. No, they're not, said Naruto. Am I right? Orochimaru of the Chunin. The Kunoichi blinked, looking rather amused. Now why would you say something like that, she asked. Well, because I'm not an idiot. There's only two people that can summon snakes, and I'm sure that she wouldn't do something like this. So why don't you reveal yourself? There was a long pause until the Kunoichi started to cackle, seemingly finding what Naruto said amusing. The next moment she appeared behind the three. However, Naruto's gaze was already on her. Confused as she was, she jumped away as massive ice spikes erupted from the ground. Now that was shocking. What the hell? Looking down towards the pink-haired Kunoichi, Sakura slammed her hand down as a massive dragon made from ice rose from the depths of the coal that she formed, shooting out towards the Chunin. It enveloped and exploded, sending ice shards everywhere. Orochimaru tear off the face that covered the real face that he had underneath, looking rather intrigued. Now isn't that something, he said. I thought the Yuki clan was supposed to be extinct, except for one other, he said, recalling something within the past. Now how does a simple Konoha Kunoichi possess a bloodline like that? That's none of your business, Sakura said, regaining her courage to stand up to even someone like this. Sasuke was already behind Orochimaru, as the both of them engaged in taijutsu. Orochimaru saw those majestic eyes. Three-toed him in both. The Uchiha was clashing violently. Naruto stood there and watched as Orochimaru was captured in wires as Sasuke lighted him up. Screaming turned into laughing though as Orochimaru emerged, showing that despite the strength growth that the both of them had, Orochimaru was still vastly stronger. Well, Sakura wasn't done yet. She brought her hand down and froze the entire trees that Orochimaru would have run to. The last one, he had to jump in the air. The tree branches expanded with spikes, one of them tearing through his arm, actually drawing blood. The Chunin jumped down as his arm healed almost immediately. Sakura cursed under her breath. She failed to do what she wanted to, as she did not get the ice within his wound. As Orochimaru landed, he looked rather impressed by what she was able to accomplish despite it not being that bad. You know, Orochimaru was surprised, as Naruto was standing back to back with him. As much as I don't like to rub it in their face, I'm vastly stronger than my teammates. Orochimaru spun with his backhand, but Naruto pulled away and jumped back. The Chunin looked down. What the hell? He was being pulled into the branch. Confusion marred Orochimaru's face. He tried to jump, he tried to move, but he could not. There was only one thing he could do. He severed his own legs and jumped away. His legs regrew though. As he landed, his lower half returned into a snake form first. As Naruto stood there, what the hell was that? He said, hissing at Naruto with anger. Just one of my many new forms of Fuinjutsu. Did you like it? I call it the endless swimming seal, said Naruto. I'm not sure about your physical stature, but I'm sure that I've gotten the proper amount of physical training to best you in that department. But when it comes to ninjutsu and others, you stand absolutely no chance. Granted that you won't use your full power here, because you fear that they will find out about you and swarm you from all sides, and then things will become bad. Orochimaru looked amused. You're a rather smart child. I suppose you're right. Then I'll simply cut to the chase. Orochimaru dashed at full speed, straight towards Sasuke. Sakura went through hand sign and release the frozen mist. He went underground though, and burst back through, his head elongating. Sasuke smirked though as he fell backwards. Orochimaru's time slowed down, as Naruto's hand was about to touch his face. Each of his fingertips were glowing with a seal. The Chunin felt something dreadful. For the first time, he performed his jutsu in a cowardly state by bursting through his own back and jumping away. Naruto did not touch the flesh though. He simply allowed it to fall, his fingertips returning back to normal. Orochimaru had been through a lot. He has a rather good dangerous sense. He knew if those hands had touched him, something tremendously bad would have happened. He looked up as ice shards started to rain down towards him, courtesy of Sakura, as he jumped and leaped away. As Team 7 gathered once again, the Chunin snarled that they were able to push him back. These were children. Goddamn children, how were they able to push someone like him back? This should not be possible, he roared on the inside. As he kept his cool though, once again he attacked the group, aiming to go for Sasuke, but despite besting Sakura in speed, Naruto was always there to ensure that he did not harm her, and he always had Sasuke's back. Orochimaru then realized who he had to take down first. This time, as he went for Sasuke, he turned on his heel at the last moment, However, Naruto looked amused. How stupid do you think I am? Do you really think I would fall for something like that? Naruto said, as Orochimaru's fingers were inches away from him. However, you on the other hand. The Sannin looked down as he noticed the light. Orochimaru was speared and ripped through by 4 black spikes that emerged from the ground. Naruto's entire radius on the ground had been surrounded by traps. So perfect, so in line, so undetectable that not even Orochimaru was able to see them. Having a hard time moving, said Naruto, and even performing that technique of yours. Fear. Fear flashed across the Sannin's eyes. He held his strength back, and in doing so he was captured and he could not switch his form without agonizing pain. Naruto stood there looking at the man, surrounded by the black thorns, as he stepped forward, now to do what I originally wanted to do. As Naruto was walking slow on purpose, Orochimaru opened his mouth despite feeling like acid was being poured into his throat. Snakes emerged. Hundreds of snakes that shot towards Naruto, but Sakura was already there. She froze them as she blew mist out of her mouth that froze them all. Before Sasuke shattered them, Sasuke inhaled before releasing a massive fireball. However, Orochimaru physically ripped himself out of the spikes, tearing his body apart. The moment he was free, he jumped out of his mouth. Orochimaru came to a stop as he started to cough up blood, despite just switching. What the hell is this? He said, confused. Those black thorns had a rather dangerous poison inside of them. You might want to get some treatment. Continuous fighting is only going to, deplete your life. In that moment, Orochimaru realized that this boy wasn't trying to kill him. He's actively tried and went out of his way to not try to kill him. He'd seen it in his movements. Orochimaru felt humiliated, and that brought rage. Rage unlike any other before. A child not wanting to kill him, proving that he was better. Not even using physical exertion of strength, simply using techniques that were beyond his. The Sannin was furious as Naruto stood there watching Orochimaru flee. Keeping a cool head in dangerous situations can make you the victorious one. Orochimaru was only using around 40% of his true power to fight them, not wanting to give away his location. Well, that was good for them. However, the assessment of Orochimaru's power brought Naruto a new insight of understanding about something that he's been looking on. More than just regeneration, but something even beyond that. He had to say though, he was curious about taking on the Sannin head to head, alone. Granted, he too was holding back, given the restrictions that were placed on him. However, he supposed they will see soon. After all, an invasion was coming very soon. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.